Hello viewers, my name is Samuel Onuorah. This is Yahweh to Face. I want to talk about the gifts of the Spirit and the gifts of Christ in the Bible. Now these gifts are given by heaven to men on earth, and we want to understand their functions and the reason why God from time to time blesses people with these gifts in their various orders. Now in the book of Ephesians, we have this record according to scriptures that Christ gave gifts to men. Each of these gifts come with graces, and anyone that any of these gifts is given to. Now the gifts of Christ are the ministerial gifts. We have the apostles, we have the teachers, we have the pastors, we have the evangelists. They are the gifts of Christ to the body, and each of the offices has God-given grace that makes each of the offices unique. Now they are not called the gifts of man to men, but they are the gifts of Christ. Now, the gifts of the Spirit are also given to God's people. Now, the gifts of the Spirit can be imparted by way of association, by way of submission. Now, if I sit under a teaching ministry of a man who is commissioned by God, who have the gift of Christ for a long time, and he also have the gift of the Spirit, for example, the gift of healing. Because of my experience and my encounters with the Word of God, sitting under his teaching ministry for a long time, I can receive an impartation of the gift of healing. That is, I can now develop the ability of the Spirit within me to lay hand on the sick and they recover. But the gifts of Christ are not gifts that men give to others. They are purely gifts directly from Christ to man. They are not what another man can transfer to another man. So, but I'm saying this because God wants everyone that has received this gift to understand that there are things that does not go well with these gifts. One of them is fear, sense of unworthiness, sense of inferiority complex. When God gives gifts, he gives grace. That grace is the ability of the Spirit to function in that office, because that gift becomes an office. It's not anybody that can function in that office, but that man that gift has been given to can function in that office. Now, if I am called as a pastor, is God who called me. Is God who allowed that grace to rest on me. Man cannot take it. I can be threatened, but I am only permitted to submit myself to the lordship of the head of the church, who gave me that gift for the purpose of maturing the saints, for the purpose of, keeping the unity of the faith, teaching God's children the importance of keeping the unity of faith, teaching God's children the importance of fully embracing faith, because without faith, they cannot please God. It is written that without faith, we cannot please God. So if I have the gift of Christ, it means that God has called me into the fivefold ministry. I repeat again, man does not call man into the fivefold ministry. Man does not give man the gift that makes him qualified to function in the fivefold ministry. It's purely from Christ. And the grace that makes it unique is also from Christ. So we don't function by men's grace. We function by the grace of Christ. Now, the grace and the gift are given to man for one reason: to point men to Jesus. Now, the essence of the New Testament is for man to come and inherit God. So those who are calling to the fivefold ministry, they are to point men to Christ and not to themselves. Now, when we start doing that, we will start making the faith of God inactive in the life of men. Because the gift and the grace itself is to culture man, is to make man inherit God, is to make man come into the full stature of Christ, is to make man enjoy fellowship with his Father, who died in the person of Jesus Christ to redeem him from all iniquity. Now that grace and that gift is also to help man to walk out of darkness, to walk out of the realm of the senses, to come into a state, to come into a realm in the spirit where they can understand the program of their Father and align themselves with the program of their Father, so that the purpose of God and the vision of God can be actualized in their life. But this day, we see that these gifts and the graces that God gives has been hijacked. It has been hijacked. To some people, it's something they developed by prayer and fasting. No, this gift is not developed. It's not something you develop. It is being given. The Bible says he gave to men. He gave to some apostles. He gave to some pastors, to some evangelists, for the work of the ministry. Like I said before, the gifts of the Spirit, anyone can manifest that in the body. The gift of the Spirit, for example, laying on of hand, it is the heritage of the saints. Anyone that is born again is qualified to function, to carry out, to express the gifts of the Spirit when it's being given. But nobody can stop the operation of the gift of Christ and the grace that comes with that gift. Nobody can stop the operation of that gift in another man's life. So if you have this gift, you have to have boldness and face he who gave you this gift, knowing that he is the only one that can stop the operation of this gift. Another man cannot stop it, because it was not given to you by man. And we need to know that man cannot transfer this gift. It can only be given by Jesus Christ for the work of the ministry. Thank you.